Hi, welcome to the Jesmond Joggers Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Heide, and today I'm joined by the lovely Kate Winstanley. Kate, welcome to the podcast. And how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful. We've got some interesting topics that we're going to talk about. Before that, I'm not saying you're less interesting, but can you give us an introduction to yourself, how you got involved with the club, and a little bit of background about your running?
Yeah, so anyone who doesn't know me, I've ran with Jesmond Joggers for quite a few years. I think I joined in October 2016, I think. Yeah, I think it was then. I moved home back to Leeds in between that time, but I stayed a member. And actually it links to what I'll be talking about in terms of how I joined the club. So I was researching for my dissertation at the time on female female runners and fear of crime and safety. So I was looking up participants and where I can find people, and that's how I came across Jesmond Joggers. Like out of all of the clubs in the region, and I thought that Jesmond Joggers sounded really friendly. Obviously, turned out to be very friendly. And I thought it would be full of students, so I picked Jesmond Joggers to come along and start running. But before that, I got into running was like my auntie did the park run, and I'd never heard of it before. And I was a student and stayed in bed until like 1 o'clock. So my auntie like made a joke like, "Oh, Kate's never gonna come." So I did, and then from that week onwards, I did the park run every Saturday. So that's how I got into running.
Amazing. I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions. And then we'll get into the two topics that you're going to talk about. And I'm sure I'm going to be really enlightened by them as well, as they're two areas that I know nothing about. But to get started, road running or trail running?
Road running every time. I'm not a trail runner.
Headphones or no headphones?
Headphones.
Run solo or run with people?
Oh, people.
Favorite shoes?
Brooks.
A specific one or just Brooks?
I find the whole trainers thing an absolute nightmare. They always give us blisters. I can't really be bothered. I find the whole thing a chore. I don't understand these people that have millions of trainers. So I just go for the same trusty pair of Brooks every single time, but like the New Year's version.
That's fine. I've bought Jane the identical Christmas present 2 years in a row now. So
It's what you like.
I might already have the pair for next year as well. Spoiler. But it's going to be a running joke now, but that's Brooks as well.
I hope she's not listening. She'll know what she's getting.
Favorite nutrition for a run?
I don't really do nutrition. Chocolate.
That's fine. Lots of sugar. I'm going to ask you what your best piece of advice for runners are later. But what's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Oh. I don't know. I can't really think of any advice anyone's given me. Has anyone given me advice? To do strength and conditioning probably, because up until like the last couple of years, I never did it. I never thought about doing it. I started doing Joe Wicks with the Nation in COVID. And then after that, and after some horror stories of everyone at JJ's, I decided that I probably should foam roll and do all of the things that I'm supposed to do. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I feel stronger. So that's a
I think it does. I think it is. It's just a chore.
Yeah, it's a chore.
Let's enjoy it. And final question. Would you rather run a race or run a park run?
Run a park run every day of the week.
And how many to go till your 250th?
think I've either done 200, I think I've done 246. I think I've got 3 left to get to 250.
Have you ordered the t-shirt yet?
No, I've got to do the 250 first.
Do you have to do it first
Oh, I don't.
to be able to unlock the capability of ordering one?
I don't. You used to have to do that, but I don't actually know now, to be fair. But
I don't know if it's just on the men's range, but I've heard there's a national shortage of parkrun finisher number shirts.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
When I got to 100, I did have to wait ages for my 100 one, for that reason. But it was different then. Like, you used to get the t-shirt for free and you just had to pay delivery. So there was like a massive backlog for like months and months and months. It took me ages to get that one. But now the parkrun shop's changed and you can like purchase vests and like various other things. So yeah, I don't actually know what the requirement is now. But I'll probably wait till I've actually done the 250 anyway.
Or you're going to do a celebration for it. I feel like someone needs to make you a cake at the very least.
Yeah, maybe I should. I haven't really got a plan, to be fair. It kind of snuck up on me and I'm just like, oh, I'm nearly there. Better watch out for it.
How many of the 250 are tourists?
Not many. Maybe like 17 or 18. But because I've lived in like various locations because obviously I was a student when I started running. I've kind of done like 30 park runs in one location and then like 30 in another and then like 40 here. So I've got like, I don't know, like 40 at Whitley Bay and then I've got like 30 in Leeds and I've got like 70 at Leazes. Like I've got like a substantial number at like multiple, and Gateshead, I've got like 30 at Gateshead as well. So yeah, I've kind of clocked it all up from
there. And what do you think's the best park run in the Northeast?
Oh, well, I do like Leazes, and everyone that knows me knows that I'm always raving about Leazes over Town Moor. But I absolutely love the coast, so it has to be Whitley Bay.
Have you done South Shields?
Yes, but just get reminders of that last stretch of the Great North Run, and that is enough.
Yeah, I love Whitley Bay. I think South Shields is better, but I don't know that I've done Whitley Bay on a good day. I don't think I've done Whitley Bay in nice weather.
Really? Oh, to be fair, Whitley Bay in bad weather is not that fun. Like the wind is awful, and they kept changing the route as well. Like they've changed the route so many times. But that was the very first part when I did, like when I said my auntie dragged me out of bed. So I've done like 40 Whitley Bay, whatever it is. So I feel like that's kind of why I like it as well, because it was always the one that I did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the first park run when I used to think park run was a bit more of a competition. Now I take them a lot less seriously. It's the first park run that I came first at. And there's a really funny photo. I'll see if I can put it on this video. It was really, really windy, and I completely sandbagged the guy who deserved to win, and I ran pretty much behind his forehead for the entire way around, and then just pipped him at the line. It was really, really, really terrible park run etiquette.
That sounds like my kind of race, to be fair. That's what I do.
Yeah, there's a really, really funny photo what the park run photographer took where he's looking at the camera in just like total pure death. And I'm just like looking forward, still a bit serious, but you just tell us that he's taking the whole of it to me. I felt awful, and I don't think.
But also, you got first, so I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Amazing. Right, 2 topics. Which one would you like to start with? And I'll just give you the floor. There's no questions at this point. You can just share what you've studied, what you've found, and then I'll ask some pointed questions of things that I'm interested in and
that sounds
a little bit more about.
Oh, I don't really have a preference. Do you have a preference? Which one I talk about first?
Women's safety.
Okay, yeah, that was the order as well, to be fair. So as I said, when I first joined JJ's, I was in my final year at Northumbria and doing human geography, and I did my dissertation on female running routes and fear of crime. Obviously, I just got into running, and I'm also interested in women's safety in general. And my participants were solely women, so I focused on that purely because like the literature had already been covered for like it is a women, like it is space is an issue for women. So my dissertation mainly focused on like what are the factors that when women choose to use routes, and like what are the constraints and what are the things that impact women running, basically. So I did 300 questionnaires, and then I think it was about 10 interviews with people. Yeah, and then I don't know. Should I just go into the like what I found, what was interesting? So this was in 2018, so it was before all of the like stuff that came after Sarah Everard. But I basically found very similar things. So anything that you would think of, like lighting was one of the big issues. People liked other people to be present, like the public. Stayed away from secluded areas. Routes to avoid, like the woods, stuff like that. Like all of the things that you would think of came up. Like time of day as well. I think the most popular times were 9 to 12 in the morning and 6 to 8 p.m. on an evening for the participants running. Obviously, I guess that is especially the 6 to 8 one will be in line with people from running clubs. But it's probably also just your normal work day. So yeah, it basically all of those kind of factors were what you would maybe expect, but I think even then it was just it just reiterated that these things do actually impact women. Like when we're running, like we are thinking, oh, should I go that way? Or, oh, I'll choose to go through the park and maybe my run will be a bit longer, or my run will be short. Like, say you wanted a longer run, but I can't make it that longer. I'm going to have to go this way. And I also looked at what people thought of running familiar routes to themselves. And I think it was like, I don't know, I think it was like 20% or something said that they would run an unfamiliar route by themselves. And then I think there was 40% or something, whatever. Basically, like about 50% of people said yes. 50% of the women said that they would run an unfamiliar route, and about 50 women said they wouldn't. But even of the ones that did, they said it would depend on factors like time of day. Is it daylight? Is it? And it's just like, do men, and I'm sure some men do, but do men have those same thoughts when they're going something? Like if you're doing a run and you need to round it up, or just run this extra bit, are they having the same thought process that women are potentially having? So yeah, so basically the main thing was those things that you would expect, but it just reiterated like how important they are, and that it, everyone talks about lighting and stuff, but it is actually impacting where women choose to run. But then other than that, like a couple of things that were maybe unexpected, there was a couple of participants that on all of the scores came out as like not considering their personal safety as highly as others. Like it wasn't something they thought of. But it was really interesting because as I was chatting to them and more was coming out, they'd say things like when they go into a park or if they ran past a man, they would like try and be like stand up a bit more or like come across as more confident. So even the women that thought that personal safety didn't impact their routes, it actually did impact. Like they were still impacted by it. Like they didn't let it stop them, but they still felt they had to do something different. Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was probably I guess the main take on for me, and the most shocking thing was it's just like even the women that don't think they're impacted by it probably are impacted by it. And then, yeah, I think one of the other things was dogs, which I'd not considered at all, because I'm not a dog person. Sorry to all the people that are dog people. But yeah, like on both sides. So people were saying that actually they're not as scared of men, but they're terrified of dogs. So they'll pick routes where there's no dog walkers. But then on the flip side, people were saying, I run with my dog as a safety net. So that was quite interesting as well. I don't know. Do you have any? I feel like I'm just talking at you. Like, do you have any questions?
I'm absorbing it all. I'm taking it all in. I've got some thoughts, and I'll ask you some probably personal pointed questions just for probably the benefit of other, probably most likely males who are hopefully listening. So my thoughts are the times of day on the survey probably correlate to being able to run before and after work. Since we've had COVID, it would be really interesting if you reran the study to see if flexible working and hybrid working changed that. So I think you'd find a percentage of those participants would be out at lunch.
I,
I,
I totally agree with that. And actually, I'm one of those people, like
yeah,
100%. If it was dark and I didn't have JJs, I would undoubtedly go in my lunch break and then go after work. I've done that before, 100%. Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's right.
Just to,
I feel like people in general will do that. I think men probably do as well. And
yeah,
also, the streets aren't all safe for men either. Like, I don't think, I don't think anyone's suggesting that men aren't thinking of these things, but it's probably more prevalent for women.
definitely do. Well, I can't speak for all men. I don't. Nothing that you've said registers to me.
Okay.
Run anywhere, anytime. I don't know if that's because I when I lived down south, I lived in a really rough area, and unfortunately, at one point in my life, I got mugged there. So, but I'd still like it didn't stop me going out and running at any time of day and that.
That's pretty
Um,
terrifying. That would
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
stop me.
it wasn't the most enjoyable experience. I was pretty drunk, so that probably lessened the severity of it at the time. I think another really interesting thought that I've got is really, really intrigued for Strava to share women's data, anonymized, of how many run in summer versus winter. And I think everyone's going to drop off in winter to some degree, but I think the drop off of women versus men in the data would probably be more significant because the darker nights and the darker mornings. I
That
think
was actually that
saying it.
came up in the study as well. People definitely mentioned seasonality and being able to run on an evening in summer. So I totally agree. And actually, when I joined JJ's, it was because it was October and it was coming into the
Yeah,
dark nights, and I didn't want to run. But I used to run on the quayside. But obviously, once you get past a certain point, either like on the Newcastle side, either side, you're basically just running in nothing. Like there's nothing there. You're just running like beside the river. There's no people. There's no nothing, and I hated it. So
yeah.
it's exactly that.
And then I think, as you say, that's one of the benefits of a running club. At my Southern running club, there was an instance of, and this was on a lit up cycle path, but it was really common for runners in that area to go along. I guess it was the nucleus of that area in terms of wherever you went, you could run along this path and you get back to where you needed to be. And there was a flasher.
Oh God.
He was flashing female runners, and we sort of, as a club, then came up with a system that women, for a period of time until the court this guy would run with other people, the club, so they'd feel more safe and they'd try for a period of time to not go out and run on their own. I think they
It's so frustrating that though, because we shouldn't have to do that.
it's really, really blooming weird. But that was quite eye opening for me.
Yeah.
That bloke was out operating, jumping out of bushes, being obviously very, very peculiar. But that, for me, showed that running as a group and then having dedicated times where you know you can run with a collective entity of people and be safe is really, really good. And it's not
Absolutely.
just the community feel. For some people, it could be the safety feel.
100%.
And I've got some questions for you.
Okay.
Um, would you, if you were running in the dark beyond a certain time at night and you saw a bloke walking to you, would you cross the road?
Is this if I'm walking or running?
Running. Or both? I think both applies. I think it's
If I was walking, then yes. If I was running, then possibly not, because would presumably have gone past him. And also that's probably like a good point as well, is that actually running gives me confidence when I'm out and about because I know I can run fast. Like not fast, but like,
They're not in UK, so
well, I think a lot of men would, but it at least gives me something like, I've got, it's almost like a safety net that if I'm out walking, I can at least run home, and I am quite quick. I can be quite quick if I needed to be. So running actually like helps that as well. I forgot what the beginning of the question was now.
I think that was it. Next question is, have you ever been, I don't know what they call it. Do they call it catcalling? Have you ever been honked?
Oh, plenty times, as I'm sure every single woman listening to this has been.
Can't wrap my head around it, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I can't
Oh,
wrap
no,
my
I
head around
know.
why anyone would. But we stopped on a motorway. Jane was getting changed once, and they mustn't have realised I was in the car. And she was sort of quickly taking her sports top off and had a sports bra on underneath. And you had like your lads in a van walking past, like shouting out the window, honking the horn, going like, hey, hey, hey. I was like, oh my God, like this actually exists and happens.
I think as well, they might think it's harmless, and it could well be. But if you're a woman by yourself, it doesn't feel like that. Like, obviously, if there's someone with you, then it's probably is. The impact probably isn't as great. But if I was on like a main road or something, I probably wouldn't be that phased. Like, this happens to people forever. Like, it starts when you're walking home from school. But there was one time in particular that it really bothered me because I was down like a country lane, like back out, like not a back alley. It wasn't an alley. It was like a country lane alley. Do you know what I mean? Like a kind of cut through lane. And there was a car, and it like slowed down beside me to the end of the junction. Now they were probably just being like, I can't think of a word that's not a swear word, bleep. But in that moment, like I was like, I'm down this secluded path. Like I'm not in control of this situation. Like you're in a car, like I'm not. And it did throw me off. And I'm sure every single woman, as I said, listening, probably also has the same story, if not worse, like probably worse stories. It's just, it's very frustrating. And men probably do as well. It's just, it makes it difficult because then like after then I did not go down that path. I didn't want to go down there again. So then because I lived like at the top of a hill, you could either go that way or that way and do a big loop. Well, I couldn't do that loop anymore because I didn't want to go down there. So it meant I had to do the hill every time I wanted to go for a run because I couldn't do the cut that avoided the hill.
Yeah. And
Frustrating.
then last question is, has anyone made comments in public to you whilst out on a run?
I can't think of an example, but 100% yes. I mean, I have earphones in, so I try not to listen. I mean, it's not all the time. And to be fair, the vast majority of the time now I don't run by myself. But yeah, like I said, I think every single woman and probably some men probably experiences quite a bit.
I watched a clip on Instagram, as I was telling you before, of a girl was videoing herself warming up, and she had her leg up on a wall. She must have been doing like a hamstring type stretch or activation, and a bloke walked behind her, obviously not realizing that the camera's on, and said something like, "Wow, what a view that is." And she had her headphones in, so she didn't hear him. And then she pulled a headphone out, and then he said something like, good arse that is," and was laughing as he walked away. Just quite she must have been in her 20s, and he was over 40. It's probably somewhere between 40s and 50s.
It's
And
just like, how do they feel so entitled that you can just do that to someone? And also as well, I think for a lot of women and anybody who's trying to get into running, it's quite scary to go out on the street and begin running regardless, because of, if you're trying to lose weight or for whatever reason, you're not very confident. And then to have something like that, like somebody feel like they're entitled to say that to you, that person might now not go and do the run again. Or like if they've only just started running, that could put you off. And then all of a sudden you don't get the same right as everyone else to go and exercise outside because you've been put off by something.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to ask me any questions on this topic?
Oh, well, I'm not prepared for that. I guess kind of like the same questions that I would have asked the women, really, in like, what do you, when you're choosing to run, what are the main things that you think about?
I just put my shoes on and go out the door, to be honest. There's nothing that would... I don't think there's...
Yeah, is there anywhere you would avoid running? Is there anywhere you're like, I don't want to run there?
No. Obviously, I wouldn't intentionally go out of my way to go to what we'd perceive as the rougher areas of where we live. But equally, like, I'm not going to name the places, but on long runs, I've been through those areas and I wouldn't think twice. Equally, if I go abroad, I don't search where the safe areas are to run. I'll just go and run, and I'll typically do an out and back mainly so I don't get lost. But other than that, to be honest, I don't really think about it. I don't run late because I'm lazy, is the honest answer. It's not because it's late.
I feel like most people will probably think that as well, to be fair. Like, even in the times reflected, I feel like you run when it's convenient to run, you finish work, you go for a run, same as you'd go to the gym. I guess that is pretty normal.
But there's no amount of safety or like question of safety that dictates my running decisions. I don't know if subconsciously, if you asked me some of the questions, it would come out that I do, but I don't seem to change my route. I mean,
do you tell someone where you're going when you go for a run? Because I asked them that, and 71% of the women said that they do, which I thought was quite a high number. I mean, to be fair, I always tell someone, so I probably would think that it would maybe be higher than 71%, but that's still quite a lot of people.
Did you ask them whether they all take a phone?
No, I didn't ask that. I don't think I did, but this was like some years ago. But I don't think I did, no.
Yeah.
But that is interesting that you mentioned that, actually, because I don't like carrying it. And actually, the arm things, I've got tiny little arms.
Yeah.
So none of them are any good. Like, they always fall. Like, so I don't take a phone. But I bought an Apple Watch, and literally this is the only reason I have an Apple Watch, is because it allows everyone to find friends so they can see where I am.
Well,
So
really,
so even without my phone, my family can see where I am when I go to running. And I actually pay like an extra £5 extra a month to be able to have the cellular thing on my watch. And as I said, the only reason I have that is so I can run without my phone. But I think I am a bit extreme, to be fair. Like, most women don't do that, but, you know.
I don't run with my phone because I treat running as my time away from technology. I mean, logistically, I agree with you. It's very hard to carry a phone. Like, if you put your phone in your pocket,
well,
it's
for a
way
start, women don't actually have pockets.
Yeah, women don't have pockets. If I put it in my shorts pockets, it's really uncomfortable and it can hit you in areas where you don't want to be hit. I wouldn't wear an arm sleeve either. But I would deliberately always leave my phone at home so I can just be away from and be in peace. But people have pointed that out to me, and a lot of people I've spoke to, especially my previous running club, were really trying to drill into my head that I should always take my phone with me.
Yeah, because I think even not just from like a safety from other people perspective, if you get injured, you need to be able to ring someone, or, I mean, literally anything could happen. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
It is a fair point, and I don't think I've got like a counter argument to it. I used to give them like a really flippant response where I think they said like, well, what if this happened? I was like, well, a phone probably wouldn't help me because I don't know that many people who would immediately be able to come
Would come and save you.
And they're like, well, what if you'd pass out? And I'd flippantly say, well, I'd be
Well, if
passed
you
out.
passed out,
So,
you're not ringing them
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I do think there is validity in having a phone with you, or having some sort of, at least like the watches now, as you say, have the technology in so that you're trackable, or that I think Garmin, you can track people's activity on, like Live Track, I think it's called.
All
So
right.
someone could
So you
sync
don't
up
have to take
that
your phone
and
with you?
Yeah, I don't know that it's like a really common feature. I think it might be on later models. I think there's something called Activity Track, or Live Track, where every time you start an activity, that person can then sort of get a ping of where you are.
All
I
right.
don't know if they need their phone to be with them with the watch to make that work.
Yeah. Be interested in that.
But yeah, that's super interesting. And second topic is run commuting.
It is. I forgot to add just on the other one as well that I found that women that were in a running club were more likely to score their personal safety as higher. So I just thought that was an interesting point from like the JJ's perspective, that potentially women that maybe are joining, it could be because they don't want to run by themselves. I just thought that was particularly interesting that women that were in a club were more bothered by it. Anyway, run commuting. Yeah, so then I did my master's in transport planning and engineering at Newcastle in 2020. And I know how is run commuting, transport planning and engineering, but I somehow managed to swing it. So for somebody who doesn't like running, I've managed to do both of my dissertations on running. But yeah, so I did. To what extent is run commuting a mode of transport? Because obviously we talk about like sustainable commuting and cycling and walking and wheeling, and even now, like a few years later, like nobody is talking about running, but people do run commute. Like, you know, I interviewed a few people in the club, like some of us lot do it. So I just thought it was an interesting topic to like look at, basically. I think I did about 15. I think I did about 15 interviews. Some of them were individual and some of them were like focus groups. So there was a JJ's focus group. So thanks everyone. But yeah. So what did I do? Yes. So I basically just tried to find out the factors around what the decisions are in run commuting, what would make people run commute more, what would make them not run commute. So the main thing that basically most people said was kind of distance and time. So if you're commuting, you don't really want to commute for more than between 30 minutes and an hour. So if you were going to run commute, your workplace would have to be within however far you could do. So for some people, that might be 5 miles to do an hour, or some people might be 7 miles. So that was the number one thing really that like came through, is that it has to be like feasible. And then everyone as well, like a lot of people were saying, having facilities at work. So things like having a shower, having a place to get your head, like getting the headspace before work, having somewhere to fuel. Like if you've just done a 7-mile run, you need space to like get yourself sorted, ready for work. And also that was kind of like a constraint to people doing it as well, because if you don't have those facilities, then it actually stops you from doing it. You can't really do it. That's run to work. I probably should say some of the participants ran to work, some of them ran just home from work, and then some of them ran to and from. One of the participants was mental. She ran 10 miles a day. She ran 5 miles there and 5 miles back 5 days a week. So that was the only running she did. But all of her running was to and from work, and she was a cleaner. So like it was a hardcore job as well. Like I was like, yeah, I was absolutely mesmerized by this woman. I was like, that is mad. Like, wow. But yeah. So what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh yeah, the constraints to doing it. So people's jobs were also like, obviously, if you need to carry like school books, for example, you obviously can't do it. And also, things like, oh God, I've forgotten the bloody point. But that was it, like logistics. Like you have to think, like it's about planning it out. So it kind of has to be like worthwhile. Otherwise, what's the point? So like if it's only 2 miles, like you're not really, some people might think that's not far enough to go through all this hassle. So like the logistics of, have I got my laptop? Have I left it? Have I got the opportunity to leave it in a locker? Can I like run commute and fit in the kids and do all of this stuff, like the actual logistics of having stuff sorted. But the main benefit for people was obviously the time element, in that you've already done your commute and you've done your run, so it saves you time. And people were saying like the benefits were really like the mental health benefits. Like obviously the mental health benefits are attached to running anyway, but it kind of allows you to separate your work day. So by the time you've got home, you're not even thinking about work anymore. And people were saying obviously the money saving, and it's more environmentally friendly. Now, those things were benefits. They weren't the things that were encouraging people to do it or not to do it. But there were, as I said, like benefits. And the other thing I thought was interesting, particularly from like our perspective at the club, was runner confidence. So I think maybe that's something that we wouldn't necessarily think of, because we're all quite like avid runners and keen runners and consistent. But somebody that obviously at the end of the day, you have to get to work. So like if you're not that confident in that you can definitely do 3 miles in this time or whatever, then that is a factor for people. Or you could choose to do it at the end of the day instead of in the morning. But it definitely it was like prevalent that run commuting is a thing, like people are doing it, and it's obviously like an option on Strava as well. So ever since, I'm always advocating like, no, it is a transport mode, like running is, which is a bit of a stretch maybe, but I think it is. And when we're designing the streets for cyclists and people walking, like we should be also considering like all types of people. Like they now say wheeling, don't they, for like scooters and what they're called, skateboards and skate thing, whatever they're called. What they're called, rollerblades.
Rollerblades.
So it was basically just like we should be thinking of those things. And you mentioned a point earlier actually about the cycle path being lit. Outside Brandlin Park, there's the pavement, and there's the walking path that's like windy, and then there's the pavement bit. It's like paving slab, but it's the cycle lane. And I always walk on the cycle lane or run home from running on the cycle lane, which I know everyone listening will hate me for, but the pedestrian bit is not lit. So I'm not running because you have to go like, do you know where I mean? So it's like just outside the tunnel. I'm not going to go onto the windy track that's not lit in the dark after running when the cycle path is lit. So it's like when people are making these decisions, they should be thinking about that, because if you want people to walk and run and do and be sustainable, then you need to think about them things basically. But yeah, and then sorry, do you have a question?
No.
And then the kind of like the main outcome of the research was what we can do to encourage people to do it more. So I looked at it from like a government perspective, and then like what employers could do. So from the government side, something potentially like a lot of people mentioning something like run to work, like the cycle to work scheme. So you kind of get a benefit with the kit or trainers or something like that. And then another idea was to have like a benefits app. So if you could like track your runs and prove how much CO2 you've saved by running, you could get some sort of benefit. So I know there's obviously like lots of work apps that offer cinema tickets and restaurant vouchers, stuff like that. Something like that we could try and encourage people. What do you think about that?
Right, that'd be interesting. As part of me getting fit again, I reckon by the time I'm able to return to running, I've considered getting rid of one of our cars and run commuting. Now, there's barriers or obstacles to me run commuting in the fact that I really don't want to run with a rucksack on.
Same.
I would struggle doing a trail run with a trail bag. That irritate me, even if it's just like a camelback or a bladder.
Yeah, I don't want anything on.
But what I've thought about doing is driving on a Monday, taking enough change of clothes for the middle of the week. Jane will be listening, going, he's not organised enough to do this. Obviously, driving back on the Monday and then doing like Tuesday, Thursday, I'll run in and I'll drive in again on the Friday and I'll bring my stuff back. So it would reduce the number of trips.
Yeah.
And it would let me claw back a little bit of fitness. But it would be like obviously a nice thing to do. And it'd be 5K each way for me. I think the only thing that put me off, I guess, doing it today is I don't like doing double days, or rarely do double days, but 5K should be manageable for me. I think our work amenities are going to get better as well. Our showers are a bit gross at the minute, and I'm also a little bit OCD about the type of shower I have and use. I like a powerful shower with like a big, like the shower head. I like it powerful, and I like it to feel like covering my body. But the one at work sort of like trickles out, and you can feel it like sort of just go on like one little part of your shoulder. And I'm like, I want to feel like I'm underneath a waterfall and I'm actually getting clean. So I think they're changing those. But we've got locker rooms and we've got lockers.
I guess that's just reminded me. It kind of lends. This did come up as well. It kind of lends itself to men more, because I feel like if you've got long hair or you have makeup or whatever. And I also think in general the expectation of women to look nice at work is probably high. Not that you know what I mean, like we're expected to be made up sort of thing. So I do think it kind of lends itself to men more than women, because it is hard. Like, is it socially acceptable to go to work with wet hair, for example?
Yeah.
Like, and that was one of the things that came up, is that someone said what would help them do it more is if just in general people were more accepting of sustainable commuting and like going to work with wet hair and being able to have this like balanced life. I think I did it right in the middle of lockdown, so that was fun. But so maybe that would be much better now than it was then, because it probably wasn't as accepted then, whereas I feel like people's life balance is a lot better. But yeah, that was definitely one of the things. And also, just to go, it kind of links back to my other diss, which was safety, is that people were like, well, I could run commute. I think somebody said, I could run commute home at 5 o'clock, but if I'm commuting home from a 12-hour shift, I'm not going to do that at 9 o'clock. That's a very different thing, and it's really frustrating, because actually it would probably be more useful for them on those days, because it's a 12-hour shift and that's the only time they can get the exercise in, but they can't do it because they feel like they can't, because they're a woman and it's dark. So yeah,
it's really interesting. I think for sure it's going to be harder for women to run commute. I guess they'd probably want to go in one day. They'd probably be more inclined to run home.
Yeah.
But it's a good point. I went to a supplier who we work with in London, and I don't know whether we just don't get the amenities in the Northeast, but London businesses or big companies in London make, I guess, the offices really attractive to come to. One, they're trying to get people back in the offices, but there's one I visited where they had like a makeup studio for
really
their employees. They had really good showers. They had really good, because I mean, there's hairdryers in the men's at our work, but you're probably better off. But they're not good. I can't imagine it making a dent.
No, but at least they have them. I mean, some workplaces don't even have showers. So
I can't imagine it making a dent on women's hair. If they've got like thick hair or a lot of hair.
It takes like 40 minutes to dry away.
This business in London had like the Dyson, I don't even know what you call it. They had like the Dyson, the baller.
Wow.
They had a Peloton room. They had like, it was insane.
We don't get this stuff in Newcastle, do we?
I was thinking, if more companies made it like that, it would probably incentivize people to go in.
Yeah.
I think obviously there's going to be a turnaround time for females versus I don't do anything. I'll push my hair and that's it.
Yeah.
But because they had like the best of everything, probably makes people more inclined to do that. But I don't think they designed that for Run Commute. I think they actually
No.
designed it for the busy London person who's going straight out after work and doesn't want to go home and then get the tube back. But it would work fine. I think probably the final thing is your point about incentivizing it. If you could show, like, no companies are monitored as far as I'm aware. Some will be, but not many will be monitored on the carbon that their employees put into the business to get there. So they'll be targeted on their emissions. They'll be targeted on their supplier emissions in their like scope 1, 2, and 3. But no company's asking you, how do you get to work?
Definitely.
What type of vehicle do you drive? What is the impact of, I guess, commuting on our business and attracting people to work? That'll probably be part of the future sustainability journey of incentivizing colleagues to, and I know they do it with Cycle to Work scheme, but there's a lot of work to be done, isn't there? Because Cycle to Work schemes an excuse to get a cheaper bike.
100%. Yeah. So would that work for a pair of trainers that are 100 quid that you're just going to buy? Possibly not.
And are people gonna, because a trainer's a trainer, are people gonna, they'd have to introduce like maybe 3 models that are very run centric. They'd probably have to choose the ugliest shoes. Otherwise, someone's actually gonna pick a fashion shoe.
Yeah, true.
Like sort of like, functional run shoe that doesn't have much aesthetic or trend appeal.
Yeah, it's true.
I do think you're right in to incentivize employees through an app. Not even
I thought that could kind of it's like
commute just to be healthier.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of win-win for like all sides really, because corporate social responsibility, companies are now talking about becoming net zero, being carbon neutral, that kind of thing. So that and also if you can convert it to CO2, it's got a monetary value. Everyone loves a good monetary value.
Yeah.
And then also from like the staff's perspective, you're getting the benefit of having run to work, so you've saved your transport costs. And then if you're potentially getting some sort of benefit through the app from doing it. The other thing that was discussed was potentially doing like some sort of groups thing through it, or like, I guess the thing that you were talking about in London, like having those spaces would encourage people because it kind of makes it more normal. And also you could run in with your friend or run home, or like you've got that space. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got space for like-minded people in the workplace to meet in those places. But yeah, this is obviously very idealistic. But in my research, like one of the number one things that came up, people were like, I can't like I actually would want to run commute, but I can't do it because my workplace don't have a shower. And that was like the number one thing that stopped people.
Yeah, maybe I should be more appreciative and not as much of a snob.
Yeah, about your hairdryer.
It's about my perfect shower attachment.
Yeah, no.
It is true. And then like the benefit for both employee and employer is that there'll be a reduced number of sick days for potential employees because they're healthier. They're going to be happier. I know like there's cold water dipping that makes you more awake. Running gives you endorphins. Performance in the workplace, I can't say 100% it would increase, but I would imagine that it would. I don't know what the science is behind it, but after I've been for a run,
maybe if I've not done an 8-mile run before work, I'll be crashing.
Maybe not 8 mile. Maybe there's a perfect distance. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And then just to end on, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to other runners? It's going to be run commute now.
It's actually not. I think it's really easy to get swept up in everybody's running really far and everyone's doing these like really massive challenges, or even you, like you're like going to do races and you worked up about the distance and all these things that you're covering. But actually, and certainly for me, even though this is funny because everyone knows I don't like running, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but we run for fun. And like sometimes you need to remind yourself that you run for fun. And if it's becoming not fun, or you're running, you're getting yourself injured, or you're doing other things, like we do run for fun and it is meant to be fun. And also to not be too hard on yourself on the days that it doesn't go well, or it doesn't go, or not even well, it just doesn't go as well as you would like it to, because in actual fact, we're still running a really long way. Like compared to most people, a lot of people that don't run, 5K is fantastic. Like people would dream of being able to run 5K. So I guess, I don't really know if there's advice, but don't beat yourself up. Try and remember that you do it for fun. And if it starts becoming not fun, then maybe, I don't know, think about a different race or taking some of the pressure off. I think it's about the pressure. And I do this 100%, especially for the Great North Run. And I don't know why I do it, because I've done it before and I know I can do it. But every year I put all this pressure on and I'm like, why? Why am I doing this? And then you have to so I'll stop wittering on.
No, I think that's really good advice. And I always try to add my own thought on the end of it. I look at runs as threes, and there's something that I picked up. I can't remember who told me, but they said if you break your runs down into threes, it makes you feel more normalized about them. One run, you're going to have a really good run. One run, you're going to have a mediocre run. And one run, you're going to have a shit run. And it balances out. And the good days coming. You're going to have some days where it's neither here nor there. And then other days, it's going to, just be horrible. And I apply that to just training, just going out and running. Like even an easy run, one day I'll just feel like pretty lethargic and flat. And then
you think,
races
if I can't even do this, you think if I can't even do, I don't know, this is what I do. I'm like, especially if it is coming up to like the Great North Run, I'm like, God, I can't even do a park run. Never mind, how am I going to do this? Like, and there are days where you just your body's just not, you just don't want to run.
Yeah,
you just have a bad day.
Absolutely, but I always feel better after those ones. And typically on the ones where I already feel good, like if I already feel good, I don't necessarily feel great for it after. But on the ones where it's a real slog, I do actually feel more of a sense of achievement. I'm like, oh, you've got thick skin, you've got through it. But I find that in races as well. Like if I can have one good race, one race where I'm like, well, I'll take that, and then one rubbish race, I can sleep very easy. I'm happy and trying to beat myself up about it. So I think that's fantastic advice. And the episode before you is Jeff's advice, and this ties in very nicely to paint the picture of creating fun. And I think fun brings results.
100%. Like I had like a couple of years ago where I'd all of a sudden decided that I could run. I don't know where that came from, but I genuinely think it was because I actually started enjoying it and started believing in myself as well. But 100%, it all started from enjoying running, like enjoying going to running, chatting to people, wanting to be there. I totally agree.
And you had like a Goldilocks period. I don't know your full running history because I haven't known you that long.
No, it was a Goldilocks period.
Before I joined Jesmond, I think it was on the cusp of me joining Jesmond, and then a little bit after, you were just like PB City. You're like PB. You weren't necessarily doing a training plan. You were just going out, running with people, going to club nights, going to Mondays, smashing another PB. Rinse, repeat. KPB.
I know.
Well, I assume that's just from having fun and probably not even thinking about the outcome.
Oh, it was 100% that. Like, I'd ran consistently. Like, I don't run loads. Like, I generally do JJs and a park run, and that's all I do in a week. Unless I do like a 10K race or whatever, that's generally all I do. But I have done that for years. And it literally, everyone was like, what have you changed? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm still just eating chocolate, guys. Like, I don't know. And that is just what happened. But I think it was 100% that. It was just that I'd taken the pressure off. I'd been running for ages. I'd kind of was happy with the fact that I wasn't really getting past like 26-minute park runs. And I just ran because I wanted to go to running. And then it was when I took the pressure off that I actually started being like, oh my God, like, where's this come from?
Yeah.
It's all downhill now, like, but you know.
I had the exact same Goldilocks period of invincibility. And then The mind also just took
Just
took
goes
the
like that,
opposite
yeah.
as well. But that's amazing. Kate, thank you so much for joining. To anyone still with us and listening, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I will see everyone in the next one.
Thank you very much.